The Omicron variant came fast and furious, and it would seem Canadians are split on how they feel our leaders reacted. A new Ipsos poll conducted exclusively for Global News shows only half of Canadians approve of Prime Minister Trudeau's response. Provincial leaders continue to outperform the Prime Minister in the eyes of Canadians, although recent public safety measures may have led to a slip. Quebec Premier François Legault continues to have the highest approval rating at 66%, but has dropped 9 points. Alberta's Jason Kenney remains at the back of the pack with 34%. As for those measures to control the spread, Canadians are pretty evenly split in thinking they are either too little, too much, or just right.
When we started into all of this pandemic a couple of years ago almost, there was really this sense that we were all in it together. People were really following the advice of our political leadership. We saw approval numbers for the Prime Minister and for provincial premiers that were at record levels. We even recorded the Premier of Quebec at, I think, 97, which was the highest I've ever seen for any politician. And where we find ourselves today is in a different place. I think the best way to describe how people are feeling is not just fatigued, but really frustrated. And we are starting to see divisions emerge among Canadians. And that sense that they were rallying behind our political leadership has definitely declined. So where we're seeing the most satisfaction with government performance, and particularly in managing the Omicron version of the virus, is in Quebec and British Columbia. But those numbers are still way, way down from where they were at the start of the pandemic. Where we're seeing problems emerge are in Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Ontario. Those numbers are definitely low now. Alberta has been troubled for some time in terms of managing the crisis. But when you take a look at the Prime Minister's numbers and the provincial government's numbers in Alberta, they're identical. So it's not like the federal government is perceived to be doing that much better a job. In fact, it's doing an equivalent job to the provincial government, and both are seen as doing an inadequate job by people in the province of Alberta. Yeah, what we're seeing on the more punitive forms of preventing people from spreading the virus, and by that I mean lockdowns. People are completely divided on that question now. It varies by region. Younger people are especially not happy with lockdowns. And when you go back to the start of this crisis, we were getting very, very high numbers of Canadians who were saying, say, for example, not this Christmas, but the previous Christmas, yeah, we've got to shut things down. And those numbers were in the 70s and 80s. Now it's completely divided. It's 50-50. So again, this is the controversy coming back into things, and things are not as certain as they once were around this pandemic and the management of it. Where you do see really high numbers of Canadians rallying behind a particular position, it's about providing more funding, maybe even emergency funding, to our healthcare system to be able to provide access to emergency services and other types of services to be able to, get us back on track with everything from elective surgery through to dealing with the COVID crisis. So that is the one thing people in this survey seem to be rallying behind, but everything else is much more controversial than it was previously.